My daughter stood in my kitchen and said, "It's time you moved out." She said it like she was asking me to pass the salt. I didn't argue. I just reached for my house deed and laid it flat on the counter between us. That was the moment she realized I wasn't the one being moved. The story starts there. The sunlight hit my kitchen table just right that afternoon. The kind of warm glow that made the honey color of the oak look alive. My coffee steamed beside the crossword puzzle. Gospel music hummed low on the radio. That room had always been my rhythm, slow, steady, mine. I'd spent 40 years polishing that table, feeding my family, grieving my husband right there. When I heard the door open, I didn't look up at first. I already knew the pattern of their footsteps, my daughter Bryn's sharp heels and my granddaughter Mira's soft sneakers. "Hi, Mama," Bryn said, her voice bright like she was walking into a real estate showing. Mira ran up and hugged me. "Grandma, you smell like coffee." She laughed. I smiled. "Chicory, baby, real coffee." Bryn set her big tote down too hard, made the chair scoot an inch. "We brought lunch," she said, taking out sandwiches I didn't need. She wiped a counter that was already clean. I watched her, always busy, always fixing something that wasn't broken. Mira washed her hands, humming off-key. I said, "Grab some napkins, sweetheart." My kitchen filled with the soft sounds I loved, dishes clinking, fridge humming, the world still ordinary until she spoke. We sat down, the three of us, at that table of mine. Bryn took one bite of her chicken salad sandwich and then, like she was reading the weather report, said, "Mom, it's time you moved out." The spoon slipped from my fingers and hit the plate. I blinked. "Come again?" She looked calm, too calm. "You've been alone too long. That house, it's too big for you. Stairs, risks, all that. Brookstone Heights has great amenities." Mira's little face went pale. I felt the burn behind my eyes, but kept my voice steady. "My knees know these stairs better than your GPS does," I said. Bryn sighed like a teacher correcting homework. "It's for your safety." "Mom, whose safety, really?" I asked. Silence stretched out like old gum. I heard the kettle start to whistle. That sound always meant something was boiling. Later, I stepped into the hallway bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. My hands were still steady. My hair, silver at the edges, caught the light. I whispered, "I've survived funerals, recessions, and raising you. I can survive this, too." I splashed water on my face and breathed. My reflection didn't look beaten, just calculating. Back in the kitchen, Bryn stacked the plates neatly, pretending everything was fine. "We'll go see Brookstone this weekend," she said. "We'll see," I replied, my tone even, no cracks. Mira slipped a sticky note heart into my hand. I tucked it into my apron pocket. When the front door closed behind them, the sound of gravel under their tires felt like something final. I cleaned slowly, found the quiet again. Then I saw it. A glossy brochure half buried in my fruit bowl. Brookstone Heights, live free, live easy. Someone had circled memory care in yellow. I laughed, soft and sharp. Bless her heart, she really tried it. I set the brochure beside my house deed folder. My name was still on that paper. I picked up my phone and recorded my own note. The date, the time, the words she used. A paper trail starts small. By sunset. I wrote down 3 names on my legal pad. Dion Merritt, Amos Kincaid, Loretta Mays, people I trusted more than my own child right now. Mira's heart-shaped note lay on top. A small pink flag of love above my list of defense. I laid the house key over the brochure. My key, my choice. Outside. The porch light clicked on by itself. Motion sensor steady as my resolve. A car I didn't recognize idled at the curb. Engine low. I watched from behind the curtain, whispering, "Whoever told you I'm leaving forgot to ask me." The knock came sharp. 3 times before 8 Mom. I was still drying a skillet when I opened the door. A man in a neon vest stood there, clipboard in hand, polite smile plastered like a decal. "Morning, ma'am, just confirming property lines. Won't take but a minute." My eyes narrowed. "Who sent you?" "Ellicott," he said, without a miss or Mrs. Like my name was an afterthought. I looked past him to the white pickup idling by the curb. The logo on the door read Gulf South Surveyors. I noted the number, the license plate, even the make of his measuring wheel. He waved vaguely toward my fence. "We got you on the schedule." "That's so," I said, keeping my tone even. "Well, I didn't block him, didn't help. Just watched and memorized. My husband used to say, you can't out-talk a man who don't listen, but you can outright him." Across the hedge, Loretta Mays waved me over, newspaper tucked under her arm. "Zelma. Honey," she called, voice low. "They were here yesterday, too. I walked over." "Yesterday?" She nodded, lips tight. Two folks, white SUV, talking about setbacks and square footage. I didn't like the smell of it. "Locals?" I asked. "Not the type that wave." She shifted her mug to her left hand. "Heard him say something about investment properties. That dog won't hunt." I smiled faintly. "No, ma'am, it won't." Loretta leaned closer. "Be careful, Zelma. Some folks play dirty when they see opportunity." "Appreciate you," I said. "I'll handle it, quietly." By the time I crossed back, the survey man was pacing my side yard, rolling his wheel along my fence line. "Mind telling me who authorized this?" I asked. He scrolled on his phone. "Ellicott Interiors on behalf of owner." I let that hang. "I am the owner." He froze, throat bobbing. "Just doing my job, then do it somewhere else." He started retreating, mumbling apologies. I smiled. Crisp. "Before you go, I'll take your card." He scribbled a number and handed it over. I tucked it into my pocket like a receipt, back in my car. I opened the glove box and slid the card inside. My new file. Proof. Day 2, I recorded a voice memo. March 26th, 8:07 a.m. Unauthorized survey. Name withheld. Claims Ellicott authorization. My voice was steady. Legal. My phone buzzed. A text from Bryn. "Mom, a team might swing by today. Be open-minded." I didn't answer. I just forwarded it to my email for safekeeping. "Polite words doing violent work," I murmured. Noon brought the next wave. A white SUV pulled up, all polished and smug. A woman in heels and a man with a laser tape walked up like they owned the place. The woman knocked once, then half opened my door. "We're here for the 12 o'clock walkthrough," Bryn confirmed. "You're in the wrong house," I said, standing firm. She flashed a tablet screen, my address, labeled Owner Ellicott. I took a photo of her screen. You can tell Ellicott she's got her listings confused. She tried a sweet smile. "We won't be long." "You won't be staying either." I shut the door until it was just an inch open, respectful distance. "Solid boundary," the man whispered. "We were told she'd cooperate." "Not today," I replied. "Not without the owner." They left, heels clicking like punctuation. Loretta watched from her porch, lifted her mug again. I gave her a nod. Calm and precise. Inside. I spread my evidence across the kitchen table. Survey card, photos, the brochure from yesterday. I labeled a folder in bold marker. House, contacts and incidents. I added a sticky note heart from Mira inside the cover. I emailed a neutral local realtor. "Is my property being listed or pre-marketed without consent? No adjectives, no drama, just questions with teeth." When the reply came back hours later, "No listing found, but inquiries have been made," I felt that click of anger slide into resolve. At 4:12 p.m. A calendar invite appeared on my phone. Walkthrough, Thursday, 10 o'clock m. Ellicott Residence. My address again. I printed it, placed it beneath the deed, and pressed my palm flat. "If they set the table without me," I whispered, "I'll pick the menu." I opened the safe the way some people open prayer books. Inside were the papers that defined my life in black ink, our house deed and the payoff letter. The pages had curled at the corners from years of quiet air, but the ink still looked fresh. I laid them flat beneath the lamp, smoothing each crease. The air smelled faintly of cedar and paper dust. I took pictures with the date visible on my phone and saved copies to the cloud, then again to a thumb drive I kept inside the sugar canister. "Paper talks," I whispered. "If it ain't written, it's a rumor." I traced the signatures, mine and Tom's, and the county stamp that made our name law. "You built this roof," I told him softly. I slipped one certified copy into my purse. Never all the eggs in one basket. Evidence first, conversation later. Downstairs. I spread the deed beside the survey card and the photo of that woman with her tablet. The folder read, House, Deed Incidents. Letters bold enough to feel like armor. I added my handwritten log, dates, license plates, names, no adjectives. Facts traveled farther than feelings. I stapled the calendar invite behind the deed, the legal before the intrusion. The smell of coffee filled the kitchen, steady and grounding. I texted Bryn one photo of the deed and wrote, I'm the owner of record. No emojis, no apology. A second message followed. Future access must be requested in writing. Do not schedule visitors without the owner present. Policy. Not parenting. Her typing dots appeared, then disappeared. I set the phone face down and let silence be the closing argument. Mira's sticky note heart clung to my pad. I pressed it once. Reminder enough. The email alert chimed. Cypress Memory and Health Center appointment confirmation. The message claimed I'd been scheduled for a cognitive evaluation at 9 a.m. Friday. My jaw tightened. I hadn't booked anything. The attached order listed my address and Bryn's email as family contact. I forwarded it to myself, printed the PDF, and slipped it into the folder. Then I called the number. A woman answered, cheerful and vague. Oh, Mrs. Rayner. Yes, we have you on file for Friday. Who authorized that appointment? A family member, she said, scrolling audibly. I do not consent, I told her, slow and precise. Note my file. Send me your HIPAA contact and the authorization form used. My pen scratched time. Date. Name. Paper trail beats panic. Always. By evening. The house had settled into its old hum. I called Dion Merritt's office and left a message that sounded like a case summary. Homeowner. Deed secured. Third-party intrusion. Medical misrepresentation. Request living trust, consult, and cease and desist template. I spelled my email twice, then added, I prefer paper copies mailed. Before bed, I slid the deed beneath the folder. Law over chaos. We won't argue, I said into the quiet. We'll file. Morning came cool and blue. I touched the banister Tom sanded, feeling the smoothness where his hand used to rest. My purse was packed. Deed copy, clinic email, ID, notepad, two pens. I left Loretta a voicemail. Out for paperwork. Call if anyone comes by. On the counter, the glossy Brookstone brochure sat under my house key. Hierarchy intact. The phone buzzed again. Unknown number. 2 missed calls, no message. Then another email slid in. Appointment moved up to Thursday. 9 o'clock a.m. Same morning as the walkthrough. 2 clocks, 1 trap. I circled both times in red on my calendar. Watched the ink bleed into the paper like a warning flare. If they book my morning, I murmured, sliding the deed into my purse. I'll own the afternoon? Dion Merritt's office smelled faintly of lemon polish and discipline. I arrived 5 minutes early. Folder in hand, every corner of it straightened like a pressed shirt. The receptionist looked at my manila file and didn't need to ask why I was there. She slid me an intake card that said more than words ever could. Name. Parcel ID. Preferred contact. I checked both boxes. Paper and email. When Dion appeared, tall and unhurried, he glanced at my deed copies, the clinic email, and that cursed calendar invite. You did half my job already, he said. I smiled thinly. I wasn't proud, just prepared. He explained trespass versus license in simple English, how ownership doesn't fade because someone's impatient. Goals? He asked. Quiet, final, enforceable. I said. We drew 3 tracks on his yellow pad. Trust planning, cease and desist for unauthorized entry, and HIPAA revocation for the medical stunt. He dictated instructions to his assistant, certified mail. Today, not next week. The strategy brief rolled out clean. Track A, a revocable trust with me as trustee. No signature from anyone but me. Track B, cease and desist with statutory teeth and my deed attached. Track C, HIPAA notice to that clinic cutting off any proxy nonsense. Also, he added, file a non-emergency call with BRPD. An incident number protects your timeline. His tone wasn't alarmist. It was procedural. He reviewed my photos of plates and screens, nodded approvingly. When I handed him the survey tech's business card, he tapped it once. That connects. As I stepped into the hall, my phone buzzed. Amos Kincaid. Zelma, he said. Your address just flagged as coming soon in a shadow MLS feed. Owner listed as Ellicott Interiors. My pulse steadied instead of spiking. Send me a screenshot affidavit with the time and your license number. I told him. He chuckled. You don't miss a beat. Not anymore, I said. The document arrived within the hour. I forwarded it to Dayon. Pre-marketing without consent. Evidence first, emotions later. By lunchtime. Dion's assistant slid 3 fresh letters across the desk. Cease and desist. Notice of ownership. HIPAA revocation. I initialed each page, attached 2 photos, my calendar invite and the fake walkthrough tablet, and watched as certified labels printed in neat succession. All requests must be in writing. Dion rehearsed. Certified mail preferred. Got it, I said. Paper travels farther than voices. From my car, I called BRPD's non-emergency line. I reported the prior attempts, survey, walkthrough, the invite. The dispatcher listened, professional and kind. We'll issue an incident number for record. I jotted it down, texted it to myself. An incident number's like a seatbelt, I said. I hope you never need it. Then I drove home under the old oaks that seemed to nod as I passed. By mid-afternoon, a white truck nosed up to my curb. Bryn stepped out with painter's tape and a bright smile too practiced to be kind. We're marking staging paths. Just prelims, she said. Already on the walk. I met her at the porch, calm as a preacher. All access must be in writing. You'll receive certified letters. Mom, don't be dramatic, she sighed. Reaching for the knob, I closed it gently to an inch. Owner present or no entry. The handyman studied his boots. Bryn froze, eyes flashing. I gave her Dion's card. Call him if you have questions. Inside, I logged it all. Time, attempt, demeanor. Amos's affidavit printed clean and slid behind the deed. Law, proof, intrusion. 2 certified envelopes waited beside my house key. A new text from Bryn blinked. We'll talk when you've calmed down. I left it unanswered. Silence carries weight when truth is on your side. I pressed Mira's sticky note hard atop the envelopes and whispered, They booked my morning. I just booked their options. Outside. The mailbox flag lifted red. Letters outbound. My phone pinged. Out for delivery. Then another alert landed. Final walkthrough, movers on standby. I didn't flinch. Paper had already started speaking louder than anyone in my family. I was at the credit union before 9, the kind of early that says you mean business. My folder was thin but sharp. Deed copy, ID, trust papers, and a handwritten note reminding me, paper before people. The teller smiled, used my first name, and ushered me into a small glass office where the air smelled faintly of toner and fresh statements. I asked to place a fraud watch flag across all accounts and requested that no withdrawal or transfer over $200 happen unless I stood there myself. The banker typed quickly, nodding as I spoke. If it ain't in ink, I said, it ain't a rule. She smiled and printed confirmations for me to sign. I also asked for a cashier's check path, should I decide to enter escrow fast. The banker raised an eyebrow but followed orders. I didn't explain. It's better when people don't know which move you're planning. Before leaving, I slipped the paperwork into my folder, slid my phone face down, and whispered to myself, money first, noise later. Just as I stood to leave, a senior clerk tapped the glass door and stepped inside. Her tone lowered. Miss Rayner, someone called yesterday asking about co-signer updates on your account. My spine straightened. She passed me a printed log, time, number, no changes made. Would you like to make a statement, she asked. Yes, I said, and print me a copy with your initials. I signed, watched her stamp it, and scanned the page for my records. Folks get bold when they think you're soft, she murmured. I'm soft like oak, I replied. Outside in the car, I recorded a memo. Bank visit complete, flag set, call log scanned. My voice sounded even. I double-checked the clock. 9:07. That cognitive evaluation they'd scheduled for me. I never showed, and I'd printed my non-consent email in triplicate. I forwarded the new documents to Dion under the thread, House, Legal Spine. Then I texted Loretta. If a white SUV parks outside, don't engage. She replied with a thumbs up and a prayer emoji. By 10, the day shifted again. Amos Kincaid called, voice crisp. Zelma, your address disappeared from the coming soon feed. Someone pulled the tag after the notice hit. I let out one slow breath. So the roaches scattered, I said. He laughed softly. No broker wants that kind of smoke. 2 teams already backed out. He sent an affidavit update, time-stamped, licensed, airtight. I printed it and slid it behind my deed, my own private firewall of paper and calm. At 10:30, I heard tires crunching on gravel. The white SUV again. Bryn stepped out, clipboard in hand, with 2 movers pretending to be scenery. We'll just do quick measurements, Mom, she said, sugar on top of steel. I stood in the doorway, policy sheet in hand. You'll do nothing without the owner. She rolled her eyes. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Hard, I said evenly, is moving someone's things without permission. This is simple. I handed her Dion's card, pointed to the camera on the porch, and closed the door to a polite inch. Inside. I set my folder on the table, logged the attempt, and dialed Amos. Prepare a seller's packet. Private review only. 1 buyer, no demolition for a year. You're flipping the play, he said. No, I replied. I'm writing it. I texted Dion next. Escrow path, owner initiated. Then I placed the folder in the sunlight and watched the dust shimmer over it. The house seemed to exhale. At noon, another knock came. New rhythm, firm, official. A man in a city vest stood there holding a clipboard. Ma'am, he said, we've had a complaint about unsafe stairs and blocked egress. He pointed at my porch steps, the same ones I'd walked for 30 years. I met his eyes and smiled. You're welcome to read the policy. Officer, I said, setting the folder on the rail like scripture. But you're not taking a step without it. The man from the city stood at my porch like he'd rather be anywhere else. His orange vest glinted against the afternoon sun as he said, Ma'am, I'm responding to a complaint. Unsafe stairs, blocked egress. His voice had that practiced politeness people use when they suspect trouble but can't name it yet. I held his gaze, calm but direct. Before you step any further, I'll need your name, badge number, and case reference. He blinked, then read each out slowly while I wrote them down in my logbook, the same one where I'd been collecting every name, date, and signature since this mess began. I explained my boundaries like I was reciting scripture. Exterior observation is fine, sir, but there will be no entry without consent or warrant. Please keep your body camera on during this visit. He nodded, clicking it on. I handed him a printed sheet. Dion Merritt's letterhead gleaming up top, my new favorite armor. All contact through my attorney, I said evenly. He looked at the paper, then back at me. We did the slow walk along the porch. I pointed out the 3rd step, the one that squeaked but never wobbled, and showed him the receipt from the carpenter who fixed it last spring. No visible hazard, he muttered while writing his note. Then he flipped his clipboard just long enough for me to glimpse the written complaint. Elder safety concern. Vacate for renovations. The phrasing struck me like a bell. I'd seen that particular dash between words before. In Bryn's design emails, my pulse stayed even, but my eyes photographed the page. When he finished, he said quietly, No violations, no further action. Good, I replied. But tell your supervisor to expect a letter from my attorney. After he left, I sat on the porch table, pulled out my phone, and dictated a voice memo. Every detail, his badge, his statement, his refusal to enter. I attached stills from my porch camera and emailed the package to Dion with the subject. Code visit, no entry. Granted. Then I opened my laptop and drafted a records request to the city clerk, asking for the complaint source and timestamp. The law might move slow, but paper always outlasts gossip. An hour later, Dion called. Cease and desist delivered, and I'll notify code enforcement of the false claim. His voice was calm, measured, the kind that could unspool a knot with 3 sentences. Get a statement from Loretta, he added. I texted her right away. Her reply came back fast. Already typing, baby. They won't smear you on my watch. That's the thing about good neighbors. They know when silence does more harm than noise. Back inside, I printed Bryn's old emails for comparison. The word egress showed up twice in her renovation proposal from last year, complete with that same designer-style hyphen. Coincidence wasn't her strength. I pinned the complaint photo beside those emails and drew connecting arrows. Survey, walkthrough, code call, each labeled with a date and hour. Seeing the pattern made my shoulders drop, not from defeat but from clarity. They'd stopped being careless. Now they were being calculated. That was fine. So was I. When the phone rang again, it was Amos Kincaid. "You ready to pull the trigger?" he asked. "Start the one-buyer path," I said. As is condition, no demolition for a year, and I keep possession till the morning after closing. His chuckle rumbled through the line. "You're teaching a master class in leverage, Mrs. Rayner," I smiled. "Just protecting what's mine." Then I called Dion. "Trust draft. Keep me as trustee. No successors yet." He confirmed the routing for sale proceeds. My trust account, independent access only. "That'll keep them honest," he said. "It'll keep them out," I corrected. By late afternoon, a group text lit up my phone like fireworks. "Bryn, code says the house isn't safe. We'll move you out tonight." I typed one sentence back. "Not accurate. Incident number attached. Attorney copied." She fired again. "We're protecting you." I didn't bite. I forwarded it all to Dayon. He replied. "Adding to harassment file." A mover texted next. "We're on our way." I sent back the cease and desist letter. Plain and cold. Entry will be treated as trespass. The porch camera caught their SUV slowing at the gate, idling, then easing away. Some victories don't need applause. Just the hum of quiet power reclaiming its space. At sunset, Amos's courier arrived. The man looked barely 25, eyes darting like he expected drama. "Mrs. Rayner, sign here," he said. I led him to the kitchen table where the papers were already laid out, deed, affidavit, photos, receipts, all in order. I initialed every page, the no demolition rider circled twice. "Buyer name?" he asked. "Leave blank," I said. "Control's a better friend than closure." He nodded, collected the packet, and promised delivery by morning. I texted Dion. "Doc signed, trust meeting confirmed." He replied, "Excellent, bring ID and you're calm." I smiled at that. Calm had become my currency. I filed today's footage under third-party interference, then made a cup of chamomile tea, the kind that smells like peace in a mug. The house creaked softly as the evening cooled, and I thought of Tom sanding that banister years ago. Some things built with love don't bow under pressure. They just wait for you to stand tall again. Before bed, I laid my keys beside the folder, lined up perfectly with the edge of the table. It wasn't surrender. It was readiness. My phone pinged. A new calendar alert, final walkthrough. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock a.m. A second notification followed. Draft trust, signature pages attached. 2 worlds scheduling the same hour. I knew exactly which one I planned to show up for. At 8:01 that morning, the porch camera caught them. A white SUV nosed up to my gate, sunlight bouncing off the hood like a warning flare. Bryn stepped out in a navy blazer, clipboard in hand, and 2 movers followed, one carrying a laser measure. I watched from the kitchen window. Coffee untouched, pulse steady. They spoke in low tones, pointing toward the porch as if the gate were a formality they could wave away. I set Dion's business card and the policy sheet right on the porch rail, perfectly centered in the camera frame. My quiet little signpost. She called out. "We have movers on standby," I answered through the locked door. "You don't have the owner." Her head tilted, that smile she used when she thought charm could erase boundaries. "This is the final walkthrough. Mom," I said evenly. "Not in this lifetime." The movers exchanged glances. One actually read the printed notice on the rail and took a small step back. I wrote the time, 8:03 a.m., into my log and captured 3 stills from the camera feed. "If it's not in writing," I said softly for the record, "it's not happening at my house. At 8:05, my phone buzzed. A new email, subject escrow opened, seller of record Zelma Rayner. The wire confirmation to my trust account blinked like a finish line. I forwarded it to Dion, Amos, and myself, then printed a hard copy and slipped it under a refrigerator magnet, shaped like a magnolia bloom. I texted Bryn one sentence. Escrow is open, all access by counsel only. I attached the PDF. Her replies arrived in waves. First outrage, then disbelief, then a tidy paragraph about concern for my well-being. I didn't answer. I circled the wire number twice in red ink. Money talked. Paperwork took the stand. At 8:20, I called BRPD non-emergency. Disturbance at my gate, I said, giving the same incident number as before. 10 minutes later, a patrol car rolled by. The officers spoke briefly with Bryn and her crew. I could see one pointing toward the porch camera before the SUV backed away. The movers gave me a small wave, apology in their eyes. I nodded once and whispered, I said no, like a grown woman, and meant it. Around 10, I walked to the HOA kiosk. A new notice was taped up. No unapproved vendors or construction allowed. I smiled, sliding copies of Dayon's cease and desist and the police log into the HOA slot. By noon, the HOA manager emailed to confirm that vendors now had to show written owner consent at the gate. One less door for Bryn to push through. I took a photo of the notice and filed it in my growing folder. Third-party interference. Just after lunch, Dayon called. City complaint traced back through a pattern. 3 identical phrasing matches, he said. We're drafting a harassment notice. He already had Loretta's affidavit about Tuesday's attempted walkthrough, notarized and sent. We'll preserve everything, texts, emails, invites. The word preserve landed like peace. Proof meant permanence, and permanence meant safety. Then came Amos's text. The broker pulled your address from all listings. Industry's whispering. Don't touch the Rayner property. He added that a staging firm refused future jobs with Bryn's company after seeing the cease and desist online. Loretta mentioned spotting Bryn near the code office earlier in the week. Patterns, not coincidences. And by mid-afternoon, an HR email from Bryn's employer arrived. They did not condone misuse of company resources for personal matters. I didn't gloat. Consequences are classrooms, not trophies. Later, Amos arranged a short call with the potential buyers, a quiet couple from Lafayette. Their voices were gentle, curious. Does the porch face morning sun? The woman asked. I smiled. It does, and it's honest light. No tricks in that direction. We talked about the peach tree, the swing, and the stubborn third step that always squeaks but never breaks. They laughed. They accepted every condition. No demolition for 1 year, no open houses. We like houses that breathe, the man said. I felt something loosen in my chest. At 3, Bryn appeared alone. No movers this time. Her face carried a look I hadn't seen since she was 16 and caught lying about grades. Half defiance, half shame. You blindsided me, she snapped. No, I said calmly. I set boundaries you ignored. She paced the porch, voice rising, talking about safety, change, fresh starts. I lifted my phone toward the porch camera light. We're done pretending this is about care, I said. If you want to talk, go through Dion. If you want to visit, come with empty hands. Her mouth trembled. You'll regret this. Doubt it, I said, and closed the door softly. Evening came slow, gold and quiet. My credit union pinged. Trust account confirmed. Funding ready. I checked the beneficiary line, still blank. I'd fill that when my heart was ready, not before. I filed the new papers behind the trust divider. Edges aligned. I brewed tea and opened the window. The breeze smelling faintly of cut grass and rain. Mira's pink sticky heart still clung to the folder. I whispered to it, "This is what choosing yourself looks like." Just after sunset, Loretta knocked, carrying foil-wrapped cornbread. Heard it was a long day, she said. We sat together on the porch without talking, the cicadas doing all the work. The buyers texted a thank you, simple and kind. Dion emailed signature pages for tomorrow's trust meeting. I signed the ones I could, lined up my pens, and felt the quiet settle like music. Then came the scrape at the mail slot. An overnight envelope slid through, landing on the rug by my feet. The return address made my throat tighten. Inside was a printed care plan. The kind nursing homes send, my name neatly typed on every page. A sticky note in Bryn's handwriting read, "We can still fix this if you just sign." I held the packet under the porch light until the paper warmed in my hands. Then I laid it beside the escrow confirmation on the kitchen table. 2 futures staring back at me. One chosen for me. One chosen by me. "They mailed me a vanishing act," I whispered. "I mailed them a deed." The sky was still half asleep when I brewed my coffee. Strong and dark, the way Tom used to like it. The first light slipped through the blinds, painting quiet stripes across my kitchen table. I laid a single white envelope in the middle, the way a minister lays down a verse. My handwriting looked firm, to Bryn Doyle. Inside. One clean sentence waited, typed, centered, final. "No further financial assistance will be offered or implied by me, now or ever." Beside it, I tucked a photocopy of the cease and desist letter and the escrow wire confirmation. Paper remembers what people choose to forget. I set the care plan she'd mailed me right next to it, the yellow sticky note still clinging to the front. I took a photo for my record, then whispered toward the porch camera, "You mailed me a future I didn't choose. I'm mailing you a boundary. You can't move." The lock clicked behind me, and my keys chimed against my palm like a slow metronome counting out freedom. At the title company. The conference room was cool and quiet, just the soft hum of the air vent and the shuffle of papers. Amos sat at my left, Dayon across from me, and the buyers beside the notary. Folders lay open like hymn books, everything tidy and waiting. I initialed page after page, each stroke steady. When the no demolition for 1 year rider came up, I looked the buyers in the eye. "She stood this long," I said. "Let her stand." They smiled and agreed. Halfway through, the glass door opened. Bryn walked in, heels clicking, chin up like she owned the oxygen. "I need clarity," she said. The title officer didn't blink. "Principals only," he replied. She hesitated, but I was ready. I slid my white envelope toward her, then placed the care plan packet right on top. "Return to sender," I said, and then, "For the record." I read my one sentence aloud. My voice didn't waver. The notary paused, pen midair, listening. The words sat heavy in the room like weather that finally breaks. Dayon cleared his throat. "Miss Doyle," he began. "You've been notified. Future contact goes through counsel." Amos opened his laptop, showing the porch cam stills. Bryn at my gate with movers, clipboard and all. The buyers leaned in, their expressions neutral but firm. "We're buying a home," one said quietly. "Not a conflict." Bryn's color drained, but she tried again. "Playing the elder safety card?" Dayon countered smoothly, citing my capacity letter, my doctor's certification, my signed trust. The title officer sealed the stack with 2 firm stamps, 1, 2, and slid the final sheet toward me. "We're done here," I signed, date neat and clear, and thanked everyone for their professionalism. I turned to Bryn once more. "You can't unring a bell, darling," I said softly. I drove back for my final walkthrough. Just me and the hum of old floorboards. Every room had its echo. I touched the third step that always squeaked and left it that way. Some songs shouldn't be fixed. The peach tree in the backyard caught the sun just right, green and gold through the kitchen window. On the counter, I placed Tom's pocket knife and whispered, "We did it." I wrote a small note for the buyers. She breathes best with the windows open and the floors swept with the grain. I taped the HOA rules inside the utility closet. Good manners never go out of style. Sitting on the porch, mug warm in my hands, I let the quiet settle. The world didn't end. It simply rearranged itself around a woman who'd stopped apologizing. I gathered the keys, front, back, seared shed, threaded them through a blue ribbon Mira had once tied around a Christmas cookie tin. I locked the door, turned, and slid the keys through the mail slot. They hit the floor with a clear, light sound. No speeches, no second glances. The porch camera caught only a woman standing straight with nothing left to prove. The live oaks arched over me, generous and old, as if they'd seen this kind of victory before. At the credit union, the clerk recognized me and smiled. "Ready to finalize?" she asked. "Ready," I said. The trust binder lay open like a new chapter. I signed where Dion had marked and filled in the beneficiary line. Mira Rayner. Not a weapon, not revenge, just legacy. I added one last letter to the file. No disbursements will be made to Bryn Doyle under any current or future schedule. The notary stamped it, the folder closed with a quiet, satisfying click. I texted Dion, "Done?" His reply came seconds later. "Protected. I bought a single yellow tulip from the florist kiosk outside and carried it to the car like a promise." The phone rang before I started the engine. Bryn's voice trembled on the other end. "So that's it?" she asked. I answered, "That's it, and it's enough." A pause. Then I added, "If you'd like counseling resources, Dion can forward a list." She started to speak, then didn't. The line went still, and for once, silence didn't feel like loss. It felt like peace. Back home. I placed the tulip in a glass on the windowsill and opened the window to the warm Louisiana air. The neighborhood moved like a living thing. Lawns being cut, dogs barking, someone frying bacon. I watched it all and thought, at 68, the sweetest revenge I know is a paper trail and a peaceful house. My phone buzzed again, this time a photo from Mira. Her school project showed a little lighthouse with the words scrawled in pencil, "Stand your ground, Grandma." I smiled, tears quiet and earned. Steam rose from the untouched coffee as sunlight crept across the now empty kitchen. I glanced at the tulip on the sill, its petals just starting to open, when a knock echoed through the door I'd locked for the last time. No porch camera this time. Just a voice I hadn't heard in years. "Mama?"